Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by thesoberclub.com. I'm Janey Grace. This is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. I'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there'll be inspiration from experts, quit-lit authors, and sober heroes. Hi, and welcome to the podcast. This week has flown by, literally flown by. I have no idea where the time's gone. I hope you've had a good week, and I hope you're enjoying your Easter weekend, or the beginning of it anyway, whatever it is you're doing. I hope that you're not feeling panicky about, if you're early stages of ditching the booze. It's these kind of weekends, these high days and holidays, isn't it, when everyone around you starts going a bit crazy, and it can feel really disconcerting, rather like the way Christmas does, when it feels as though everybody is having fun, everyone else is doing great stuff, and perhaps you're feeling either a little lonely or disengaged, or just wondering how you're going to manage without booze. And honestly, my top tip, just remove yourself. Seriously, just remove yourself from the temptation. You don't need to be near it. Just go do something else. Go do something that's good for you. Invest in yourself. Take yourself off for a walk in nature. Go somewhere where they've got great coffee or alcohol-free drinks, or people who you want to spend time with. But just don't put yourself at the mercy of relatives and the wrong friends who are going to blindside you and guilt trip you. It's just not going to help. More and more I meet clients who are real people pleasers. This people pleasing thing, it's so big, isn't it? And in people who have been drinkers, I think it's quite incredible that we have this kind of inbuilt desire to so much do we want to please other people that we'll even carry on drinking when we don't want to anymore. I mean, it's that crazy. And yet, how can it possibly help or support or in any way really impact on someone else what you put in your mouth? It can't possibly make a difference. I mean, sitting with someone while they drink and if you chink your glass, yeah, I get it. That's what we do as adults often, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. But what's in your glass? How can that possibly matter? It just can't, can it? When you look at it logically, it just can't. So do this for you. If this weekend is a tough one for you, just do it for you. Just put yourself first, set your boundaries, and remember, self-care is it's not a selfish thing to do. It's essential. It's showing up. I was chatting to somebody the other day about the Cheryl Richardson book, one of Cheryl Richardson's first books. She's a Hay House author. One of her first books was called Extreme Self-Care. Long before everyone was talking about it, she kind of coined this phrase. That's what it is. That's what's needed. Extreme self-care. Put yourself first. Do that bit first. Because if you don't, what else is there, right? What else is there? That whole oxygen mask on first for you thing. We know the cliches, but they happen to be true. So if you are struggling at the beginning of this bank holiday weekend, then get connected. Join us in the Sober Club if you haven't already. Save your long discussions about alcohol for the Sober Club. Don't have those discussions with your friends or your family. Save that for us. But just know that you're worth it. It's worth doing this. It really is. I think you probably heard me say that a few times already, right? If you are able to listen to the radio, by the way, I'm on BBC Three Counties Radio Friday, so I don't know when you'll get to listen to this, but I'm interviewing the fabulous Dale Pinnock, nutritionist, who is also the nutritionist who supports our stuff in the Sober Club and for the Sober Club coaches. So looking forward to that. And then I'll be doing the show again on Monday, on Bank Holiday Monday, from 10 till 2. That's just if you're interested in radio stuff, that's me with my other hat on. As you know, I'm part of a fantastic summit or a series, if you like, of speakers. It's free to sign up to. It's called Sobriety is the New Epic, because it really is. And there's a whole raft of incredible speakers. Very proud to be one of them. And it's all kicking off, all kicks off very soon. And so all you got to do is sign up and listen in. So it'd be great if you wanted to take part in that. If you go to the show notes for this podcast and just click on the show notes, you'll see the link there to be able to sign up, to register, to be able to hear all of those amazing speakers. The great thing about this series of speakers is that the whole focus is around this positive sobriety. This is the piece that I love so much, that I love talking about, this positive sobriety piece. It's that's the bit that's missing. So many people talk about the importance of quitting and the importance of getting away from alcohol because it's bad for you, and it is, absolutely, don't get me wrong, but we don't spend enough time focusing on the incredible benefits of choosing to be alcohol free, much more than benefits, whole transformation of your mind, body, soul. I mean, I can't bottle it. I can't, bring it down to one phrase. It's so much more than that. It's everything. It's a whole new you emerges, really. So yeah. So anyways, sign up for that webinar. And I want to remind you, and you're going to get sick of me going on about it, I know, but what can I do? I so want you to experience family constellations if you can. And our next workshop is Saturday, May the 10th in Hertfordshire, and it would be so great if you were able to come. And I know it's a long way, but we've had people fly in from Holland for these constellations, from the wilds of Scotland, and it's an amazing day. If you can find a way to make it, please do. You're welcome to drop me a message if you want more information, or if you again look at the show notes, you'll find info there, or go to the soberclub.com /events, and you'll find the info there too. I completely forgot to tell you about our guest, who is Dee Blick, who I met ages ago, because we both had books around kind of business and helping people kind of find their uniqueness, if you like. And Dee is absolutely queen of marketing and amazing business books, but she has written her first novel, and this time she's included much of her own story, as so often that's often the case, isn't it, in novels. But it's a really fascinating look. So she really has gone, as one article about her said, from addiction to fiction. So I really hope that you enjoy that interview. Just a quick reminder then, you can follow me on social media at Janey Lee Grace. If you are struggling over this weekend, just drop a message, because holding up with just the voice in your head, it won't cut it. If you would want to join us in the Sober Club, you're very welcome. But if you really don't want to, that's up to you. But don't suffer, in inverted commas, in silence. Don't hang on there in silence. Reach out, and just pop me a message. If I get the message, I will respond. My guest is Dee Blick, who is a multi-award-winning marketer, a best-selling author, and a powerhouse. That's fair to say. Hiya, Dee. In the world of small business marketing, her latest book, The Boutique, is a masterclass on how independent businesses can stand out and thrive and build deep customer loyalty in a competitive world. But also, for the purposes of this podcast, really looking forward to digging into Dee's personal journey, because, wow, it's very powerful. You've got a lot of years of sobriety behind you, Dee, haven't you?
I do. I'm coming up for 26 in June. One day at a
Wow.
time, though, as we all know, one
Isn't
day
that
at a time.
amazing? I love the fact that after this many years, it still feels so important. I love it. Amazing. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. And before we, get into the book, let's just go back a bit then. I mean, I know that we're talking here about, I know that a lot of the work you do, as I do actually, is around sort of supporting small businesses to get themselves out there and all of that. But
Yeah.
but behind any professional success is always that well, usually that kind of personal transformation, isn't it? So
There is.
um and you know, I spend a lot of time with people I work with trying to encourage them to step into that authentic space. And certainly for me, I found it really hard when I was drinking. I mean, I really did. I didn't even know I found it hard until
No,
I'd stopped. I didn't realize what the block was. And, you know, I just didn't know what the
totally.
block was. I knew there was something. Anyways, take me back then and tell me about you know, what happened to you many years ago.
What you mean when I was drinking, my
Yeah,
sort of,
yeah. Take me right
yeah,
back
I
and tell
mean,
me a little bit of the story.
the
Let's have the
journey.
bad bit before we get to the good bit, shall we?
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, it's all meant to be, isn't it? I really believe that. And I wouldn't change the journey I've had because life is pretty amazing. But I was just a very anxious young girl, like profound anxiety to the extent it would make me ill. So when I found alcohol at the age of 16, it was like this warm and convivial companion that just embraced me in a hug. And I just loved the fact that I could get completely off my head with a couple of bottles of wine and either extend that exuberant feeling or dampen down the anxiety and the fear. So I
Mm.
went into marketing as a career, and it was like the opportunity to get paid and get drunk, which because I was,
Absolutely, in that industry, yeah. Well, in
yeah, I
most
was,
industries, in fairness.
especially
Yeah,
in the sort of the era that I was in the 80s,
yeah, yeah.
and I was managing big budgets. And so it meant that the advertising agencies were only too pleased to facilitate me getting drunk. They'd see me home. And the next day, when I rang up, sort of terrified, thinking, who the hell did I character assassinate last night with my acid tongue? Who did I behave inappropriately with? Like, you know, being all over somebody. And they
Mm.
were like, oh, you were great, Dee. You were such good fun. And it was like, I knew that I'd been a bit of an arse, but I clung to the belief that I didn't have a problem. And really, alcohol, as you know, Janie, there's a point in that relationship when it pivots. And what starts out being your best friend with this warm and convivial hug, your life suddenly becomes fraught with this gut wrenching fear that you don't even take yourself out because you don't know how you're going to behave. You don't know if you're going to get home, if you're going to be raped, or it was so awful towards the end that I was just like, we don't have net curtains, but I mean the sort of phrase drinking behind the net curtains,
Yeah,
secret
yeah,
drinking. It
yeah.
started out wonderful. It got a bit problematic. And at the end of it, I was absolutely baffled. I didn't understand why I couldn't handle my drink like other people, why I had to have six or seven when somebody else could stop at one. And for me, I think the addictive mindset, as we know, it's all or nothing, it's boom or bust. So I either have nothing and white knuckled an evening, or I went for broke. And sometimes I'd be thinking, you know, I'm really going to be good tonight. I'm only going to have a couple of drinks. And at the end of the night, you're thinking, what the hell happened? I'd wake up in a strange bedroom and think, whose bedroom am I in? What did I do last night? And I remember once going into the bathroom and the loo seat was broken and my tights and my dress were wrapped up in it. And it was that, yeah, I could write a book about my drunken exploits because I was never a quiet, demure girl drinking. I was always dancing on the tables, telling you what I thought about you, good or bad. And it
Mm.
gets to a point where you just can't live like that, can you? It's just not a way to live,
Mm. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, that you know, you say even right back to when you were young, it seemed as though alcohol was the answer to that crippling anxiety,
yes.
and yet actually we know it isn't. Alcohol
Yeah,
lies to us, doesn't it? You know, but we all buy into the
absolutely.
lie because society tells us that, and because
Yeah.
you know it's a quick fix. But of course, it's not true. It actually fuels the anxiety. It makes us worse. It's a marvelously clever marketing lie, isn't it, really?
Isn't
Um,
it just?
so how long did it take before you you know, finally saw the light and got free?
Well, I think that, I mean, I drank, really, I drank alcoholically from my first drink. My first drink was a bottle of sherry, getting absolutely blasted in a pub car park. And I finished at 36. And I think I had people, I obviously I go to a 12-step fellowship and people talk about what was your rock bottom. And mine was fairly innocuous. It was a family event and I'd spoilt it again with my behavior, my verbally and my physical behavior. I think my husband just said, I've had enough of this. You know, you either give up or the marriage is over and you won't be seeing the boys. And so at 36, it was like I had this epiphany. It's like they call it the gift of desperation, don't they? This epiphany, which was, I've got to stop because if I don't stop, I'm going to lose everything. And I was, suicidal. I didn't want to live anymore. But at the same time, I didn't even think I was an alcoholic, which is bizarre, isn't it? We
Yeah.
behaved like it for so many years. I just thought I can't take my drink like other women. And my dad, who was an alcoholic, kind of facilitated this misconception because he'd go, "Oh, RD just can't take a drink," because he was
Mm.
an active alcoholic. He couldn't bear it that his daughter was an alcoholic too, because it would have meant him squaring up to his own alcoholic behaviour. So yeah, 16 to 37, and I thank the Lord that I put the drink down, and one day at a time. I've never felt the compulsion to pick it up again, Janie.
No. And how do you think that sobriety has impacted on and kind of shaped your mindset in the work that you do?
Gosh, I love that question. That's an amazing question. How's it's impacted it in every way? Because to start with, in my early years, I was trying to find my way without booze, and so all the issues from my childhood, the sort of aspects of abuse and what have you, they began to rear their head because you suppress them with booze.
Exactly.
You dampen it down. And so in the early years, I was walking around still having panic attacks, but I was more afraid of drinking, which really kept me clinging to this lifeboat of sobriety. So the first few years was really about me coming to terms with filling that void that alcohol had really filled. And I had to get help, like counseling help, talking therapy. And I couldn't even contemplate having the job that I had in marketing. Ironically, I could do it when I was drinking.
Mm.
I could behave, go get blasted and just drag myself the next day into my business. But the first few years, I just did a lot of jobs that were physical jobs, but not mental jobs. And then you ask about the impact of sobriety. I then just took off. It was amazing
Mm.
that I had probably 5 or 6 years, and I discovered, I know you're a writer too, Janie. I discovered my ability to write was better than ever. And in my business, I became a very, like my copywriting just suddenly had this new aspect to it. Just probably the aspect of sobriety. It opened my imagination. And I
Mm.
began to win all these awards for my writing. And people kept saying, you should write a book. And the fear kept saying, but what if it's dissed? What if it's
Yeah.
not successful? And all
The
the
imposter
voices that,
syndrome and the inner critic
yeah,
that we all have. Yeah.
yeah. Well, it's lovely to hear that you get that too, because yeah, I've had that all my life, and we have to sort of fight it and answer it back and challenge it. And so I began, and that was it. It was probably 5 or 6 years into my sobriety, and a light went on, and I began writing books, and it's just been the most incredible journey that,
Mm.
the thing is, Janie, I don't know if you feel the same, but I would not be here now if I was still drinking. I was the clumsiest drunk. I would fall downstairs. Bodily, I'm not that big, and so I couldn't take the booze. And so I would not be alive today. So if I look at it that way, it's been a massive success because I'm here. I'm chatting to you, which is flipping great. And life is life on life's terms is what I've learned to accept. But at the same time, putting down booze means that we're at that crossroads, aren't we, where we either put it down and just skulk along in the dark, just grateful to be sober, or we think, I've got a chance now to really make something of my life and to do the things that fear held me back from for so
Mm.
long. And in my case, it was writing.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think it's fascinating how I think it's amazing how people step into their kind of purpose when they quit alcohol. And for some people, they get really afraid of it, don't they? So, I remember, I mean, even in Rocket Man, you get that scene where Elton John's talking about how he was really terrified that once he quit alcohol, he would lose his creative genius. Sometimes people think, oh my God, I can only do this stuff because I'm drinking. And when I stop, I'm not gonna be able to write songs or whatever. But of course, the opposite is true. It's quite incredible how people get second wind and do all these amazing things. I mean, I've got sober club members who will say to me, "Oh my God, I've just signed myself up to an MA in creative writing, and I never thought I would do anything like that." People do the most incredible things when they're able to step into who they really are. It's really amazing,
I
isn't it?
I love that. I love your phrase there, which I've not heard before. I'm going to pinch that, but I will attribute it to you about step into your purpose.
Mm,
That is such a profound saying because I believe in the concept of dharma, that we find our
yeah,
way in life, we find our mission, and that when we do, we're at one, we're at peace with ourselves. And I agree. I think I met at a 12-step meeting, probably one of the most famous musicians in the world. And he said exactly that he was terrified of
yeah.
he wouldn't be able to write these amazing songs again. And that's understandable because in a way you've justified the use of alcohol. Like for me, it was, oh, I'm even more flamboyant if I'm feeling a bit awkward at a party, I'll be even more exuberant, I'll be at ease. And it's all nonsense that we feed ourselves this. We're not being disingenuous, we just truly believe that. And so when we put the booze down and we've allowed ourselves just to settle a bit and address any lurking demons from the past that alcohol suppressed, you're right. It's like almost like the gift for us, as you said, is we step into our purpose. And I think that's just such a profound way of putting it.
I mean, let's put it this way. I've never met anyone who prefers himself drunk. Have you? I
No, I
mean,
haven't.
nobody
I
goes, "Oh,
haven't.
wouldn't it be great if I could just
Yeah.
be back like that?" Well, if they are, let's put it this way, they're focusing on the wrong stuff.
Oh,
Because
absolutely. No, never.
there's really nothing to give up, is there? Nothing to lose.
No.
So tell us a little bit about the book then. So you decided to write The Boutique, which is, I haven't actually had a chance to read it all yet. But I've had a glance at it, and this is effectively a novel, but obviously, you've got some interesting, um, threads running through your characterization, shall we say?
Yes. Yeah. So I think the novel, I've been asked why when I was a non-fiction, why have you gone to writing fiction? And that kind of challenged me mentally a bit. I thought, gosh, am I good enough to write fiction? So
Well,
that
it's
was a
very
big,
different, isn't it? I mean, just chipping in
yes,
for a minute. I mean, I've written a novel after having written several non-fiction books, but I'm not brave enough to get mine out there. So mine is literally in a drawer.
you
Despite me
must.
telling everybody else the whole time,
Oh,
step out of your comfort zone, my novel is in the drawer. And the reason is because I really recognize that there's a hell of a difference between, it's a very different voice that you use to write fiction. And I'm I'm actually really afraid of failure in terms of just in terms of that book. So it's really interesting, and I think it's fascinating that you've done it. So anyway, carry on. Well done.
no, I like that, and I'd love to look at your fiction book and encourage you to publish it. And I'll tell you what inspired me. I went to see Wayne Hemingway several years ago. I was at the front row, drinking up every word that he emitted, and he said, "Hands up, those of you who are storytellers. Hands up, who are marketers." And I put my hand up, and he said, "You're not a marketer or a storyteller, you're a creative person. If you can give yourself that freedom to
Mm,
look upon yourself as being a creative person, you're giving yourself permission to do so much more than this almost strangulated description of I'm a this
yeah.
allows you." And I had that in my mind. But then when I was a little girl of 8, to escape some of the unpleasant things of my childhood, I used to write stories. And I can vividly remember as a little girl thinking, I'm going to write a storybook one day. And I've written stories all my life, Janie. I just that in the public sphere, I've written non-fiction books. And so it was only a matter of time. And part of it was I wanted to do something different to the usual short story genre. I
Mm,
didn't want it to be roses round the cottage door. So I wanted really to focus on gritty women who have who are either going through something or gone through something that's quite challenging, whether it's addiction or extortion or marital abuse, and almost tell their story initially at a frivolous level if they go into this boutique to buy something. And I want the reader to be taken on this journey where they'll form a snap opinion. So, Becky, who's a recovering addict, they'll be thinking, flipping out, she's superficial. Or they'll have this perception. And then as they dig into the story, once the doors are closed on the boutique, they're taken into the backstory of that character. Then they're bounced back into the present moment. And I wanted to almost challenge perceptions in a way. But at the same time, I love writing creatively. And I had all these women. There were 8 women and 1 man. And the man is a friend of mine and he's gay. He's the most adorable man. And he underwent the most horrendous bullying at school because he was gay and he was overweight. And it was awful. And he was telling me about it. And I said, I want to put you in the boutique as the manager, but I'd like to tell your story, but I want to give you an even better ending. And when he read it, he's Jake. He actually said, "Oh my God, I wish that happened." And I said, "Well, we've got it here now. This is the ending to the bullying." So I was just fascinated, Janie, with merging fact with fiction, taking on some difficult storylines. But because my life has not been roses round the cottage door, my early life was anything but, and my tumbling into addiction, I kind of wanted to bring that raw edge and merge the two together. So I hope if you get a chance to read it,
No, I definitely will. I definitely will,
Becky,
without a
I'd love
doubt.
to.
And I like, I like the fact that you're not afraid of touching on the 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 darker topics, the
Yes,
addiction and
thank you.
homophobia and whatever else, but still within a relatively kind of light-hearted approach. I think it's a really
Thank
really
you.
interesting way of doing it. They always say your first novel is about you, don't they?
Yeah,
To a certain extent.
yeah, yeah. Right. Well, yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm one of the 9, but yes,
yeah,
definitely. I
yeah.
think I think for me as well, it was a chance to tell my story, and I had to wait for Mum and Dad to no longer be here because they'd have
Oh,
been.
really? Did you?
Yeah,
Interesting.
well, they would have been because it's quite a raw story, but I didn't go
Yeah.
into. It would not have been appropriate to go. It wasn't like a biography, so it wouldn't have been appropriate to go into the details. But I knew that one day
They
I'd
would,
tell my
yeah,
story. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, they
interesting.
would be horrified. They'd
Yeah,
feel a
interesting.
sense of
It is,
betrayal.
it is interesting, isn't it? I mean, when I wrote my memoir has just come out, and in writing the memoir, I had to really stop and think, so which aspects, which people am I going to speak about, which aspects of my life, am I going to piss anyone off, basically? It's
Yeah, yeah,
kind of
I get
what I
it.
had to ask
Totally get it.
myself. And
Yeah,
and it was really interesting. I had to because I really wanted it to be truthful, and it is. I mean, the book is, it's
this is Wham
extremely
to Woo,
truthful.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
from
That's a,
Wham to Woo, it's extremely truthful. And in the end, what I had to do was just change a few names, and temper a few. Let's put it this way: the way I would, if I was speaking to you about someone's behavior with me, I might put it a slightly different way to
yeah,
how it's written. But I think it's kind of obvious, really. I think it's obvious. It's a difficult line, and you walk a difficult line, don't you, between wanting to be completely authentic and wanting to try to be controversial. And I was not trying to be controversial at all. If I had have been, the book would have been, it would have been an absolute bestseller and plastered across all the newspapers. But sadly, it wasn't because, I didn't bite the head off chickens or anything.
I
But
get that.
but it is interesting because you have to be, of course you have to be mindful. So and that's interesting that you waited till your parents had passed away. That's an
Yeah, I mean, it
interesting
wasn't
one.
like rubbing my hands. It was just knowing, and I think the challenge I have now, Janie, is I've built this name as this super confident with businesswoman speaking at big events about marketing and signing marketing books, and now there's another side to me that people haven't seen before. But part of
Mm,
being authentic is just thinking,
exactly
you know
that.
what, they can
Exactly that.
really, if they don't like me, tootle on. I'm
Exactly that.
62.
Yeah,
I'm a
good for
I'm a,
you.
a yeah, a woman of 62, and I'm not here to please. I'm not, just like you said so nicely, that I'm not here to upset people, but I'm not here just to mollycoddle people or to give a sanitized version of me.
Mm,
And so we'll see what happens when it all comes out when I'm doing these talks. If people will be
totally.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
No, I think
this
that's a really good point. And I had a similar thing when I first quit alcohol. I was already kind of queen of natural health. So I was speaking about natural health. I'd
yes,
written books, I was on the radio talking about it. Everybody knew me as the kind of queen of holistic living. And there I was stepping around this bloody great elephant in the room that was alcohol the whole time. So,
yeah,
when I decided to kind of come out, it took me ages before I decided whether I would do that or not. For ages I just thought, you know what, I'm not even going to talk about this. This is just my thing, and it just is what it is.
yeah,
But then I'm not sure what shifted actually. Something shifted one day, and I must have spoken to somebody who said, "Oh my God, that you've completely inspired me to think about it now." And then I thought, yeah, you know what, I may as well share this. And I did. And I was fully expecting to get a tremendous amount of flack. I practically built my suit of armor. I thought,
yeah,
bring it,
yeah,
bring it,
yeah,
bring it on, just bring it on. I'll cope with it. And actually, I didn't get any. I didn't get any. I literally got a few messages from people I'd known years and years ago, just saying, well done you, or people saying, well, actually, welcome to the club. I've been sober for 18 years or
yeah,
whatever. And those people who clearly didn't like it, just didn't bother getting in touch. And actually, I think that's quite an interesting lesson, and one I share with my sober club members now, because a lot of people are afraid of quitting alcohol because they're afraid of what friendships they're going to lose. But actually, the reality is people who are your real friends will come along for the ride. They may not necessarily do the same thing, but they'll support you, and they'll come along for the ride. And the ones that don't will naturally fall away. You'll just never hear from them again. That's
yeah.
exactly what
That's
I've found happens. Nobody actually
absolutely.
rocks up and have an argument with you. They can't. Certainly not in my case. They just it once it becomes who you are, once it becomes your truth and your authenticity, that's it. And I found that people who'd just been my drinking buddies, I just never really heard from them again. That was the end of it.
Same with me.
Yeah,
Yeah, and also, Janie, it's like it's part of our journey, isn't it? That life is about flow. It's also about change and about review and looking at. We're sort of like shedding skins, aren't we? Really
yeah,
metaphorically, we're getting rid of one skin for another. So I just look upon it as it was part of my journey. My drinking days. I don't regret them because it led me to where I am today, and I've made amends to the people that I had harmed. There were obviously people that I couldn't, it would have been wholly inappropriate. But I just look upon it as this is part of the journey of life that I'm on.
yeah.
And in a way, it's probably the same with you now, how we use our sobriety to help others and to share a positive message that, look, you can still be, like for me, mad as a box of frogs, but really happy and loving life. And you can still go to parties and be the liveliest person there, grabbing the karaoke mic whilst everybody else is losing their heads, you're intact. And at Christmas, I'm just like, the family, yeah, I'll give you a lift home. And I love it that I'm the sober. I've got my boys are like 35 and 33. And so I just love the fact that I'm always the sober one at the party. And yet I used to always be the one that was an absolute glugger and slugger. I wasn't a sipper. It was glug, glug, glug and keeping on glugging until you didn't know how many you'd glugged. And
Mm.
now I love it. I love being sober. I like waking up and not rushing to the loo and all this yellow bile comes out
Exactly.
of you.
But also,
You
I
can,
think also for women, as we get older, I mean, it's the best anti-aging hack ever. I mean, it really is.
absolutely.
I mean, either that or you just don't care anymore. But one way or the other, it's the best thing you can ever do for yourself, because you're giving yourself the best chance of aging gracefully, in inverted commas, rather
Yeah,
than putting a huge burden on your body of inflammation and God knows what, all the links to cancer and every single goddamn thing. And I'm not saying that when you quit alcohol, all of your life is perfect, but you're able to give yourself the best chance of
it
being
completely
healthy as you
does.
get older. And the amount of people I've got, women I work with in the sober club who are early stages of the menopause. And you've probably heard me say this because I bang on about it all the time, but it drives me bonkers that these women will rock up to a GP and they'll say, oh, I'm feeling really anxious, I'm not sleeping, I've got mood swings, this, that. And they come out with a prescription for
Oh,
HRT, sometimes and
antidepressant.
antidepressants,
Yeah,
sometimes one or the other, sometimes both. And they're never asked about their drinking. And then they go home with their medication and drink a bottle of wine. Now,
totally.
how can that be okay?
I
ever.
think I think you're right. I think that's the malaise of our modern society, that there's a pill for everything. I mean, I'm 62. I don't take a thing. I don't eat sugar. I have a super healthy diet. I don't eat meat. I do all the right things, not because I feel like some paradigm of virtue, but I just think I want to live well and live long. And I want
Exactly.
each day to count. And so if I'm putting crap in my body, I'm going to pay for that. So, in a way, what you said there, it validates the fact that we give up drinking, then that also makes us look at ourselves in a
Totally.
holistic manner. So, I'm not divorced from my body. I'm fully aware of what's going on. And like you, I'm really keen to make the very most of the years that I've got on this planet. And even writing the book, I was thinking, part of me, and I think you're a great example of this, has been a good example to women over 60 and saying, we might not have as much ahead of us as behind us, but if we do the right thing, these can be the amazing years where we fulfill our dreams and our ambitions, but we've got to look after ourselves. And it's an
Yeah.
inside job as well. You know, all this Botox, I mean, I'm not one that for obviously for beauty treatments or anything like that. It's a bit of face cream and washing my hair. But I think that just looking after ourselves inside, and you feel great, don't you? It's like we're clean and sober women that are trying to do our best. And you're doing this, you're using your public platform so well to show women that there is another way. And I think
Yeah,
the point you
totally.
made about the bottle of wine and the pills, the amount of people I've met in 12-step rooms, and I would have been one of them, that are like, oh, I think I'm depressed. I remember my sponsor saying to me when I said, I think I'm depressed, she said, Dee, just give up booze. See if you can get to the 6 month mark. If you're still depressed, let's have a chat about it. And of course, at 6 months, I wasn't depressed. So I think you're right that we've got so accustomed to, it's a lack of not really wanting to go on that road less traveled, which is we have to put the hard yards in if we want to do the very best for ourselves, sort of spiritually and physically and mentally.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. Sobriety has to be the foundational piece, really. It
Yes.
really does. So what what if you wanted to a listener to take away one message from the book, what would it be?
I think that I'd just say enjoy the read. And if any of those messages resonate with you, then I really hope that it gives you hope. Specifically, if it's about drink, then message, get help. You can send me a message, ask for help, contact you. It's people find recovery, as you will know, Janie, through so many different channels. And I'm not a value judger of one channel's better than the other. The aim of the game is not drinking one day at a time. So if my book resonates with somebody who's struggling, then I hope that it will be a conduit of action. But fundamentally, Janie, I want them to enjoy it. I want them to sit down and read it and go, God, that was a cracking book.
Mm.
I really like that. I like that woman who wrote it. There's still the people pleaser in me that wants to be liked.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I sometimes quote when I first did a my first kind of event talking about the
Yes,
my
yeah,
my memoir. I just had a chat with Claire Pooley, author of The Sober Diaries, and also she's
yes,
written several novels. And it was really funny because I said to Claire, I said, I'm so nervous about this book coming out, about my memoir coming out, because I've written plenty of nonfiction books. And
yeah.
I don't really care if you like them or you don't like them. You might not like my take on something. You might not like my advice. I don't care. But with the memoir, there's this sense of if you don't like it, it means you don't like me. And I was like, oh, please like me. And Claire said, oh, she said, it's very normal to feel like that. She said, have you had the dream yet of walking down the street naked? Oh, God, no, I'm not looking forward to that. So, because you're bound to get that before the book comes out.
And did you? Have you had the dream?
No, I'm all right. I'm all right. It's fine. I've done it now. I've done all my talks and everything, and most people seem very happy, so I'm okay.
And
But it is the thing, isn't it?
how did all your signings
Yeah,
go?
it's been fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I'm still doing I've got a couple of festivals coming up this year, so no, it's great fun, and you'll have a wonderful time because when you get to meet, I don't know how many events and stuff you're doing, but when you get to meet readers, it's really lovely, actually.
Yeah, I love
So
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
I've got
well done
the
you.
double.
It's brilliant.
Thank you.
So the book
Thank
is
you.
called The Boutique, and it's published by Filament.
Well,
And
I self-published it on Kindle
oh, okay.
Direct Publishing
Oh,
because
okay.
I wanted to show, because I've had deals like you where I've been paid to write my books, but I wanted to show other authors, especially women, that you can get it on Kindle Direct Publishing for very little. And
Yeah,
so Philemon just supported me with like the distribution through the book trade,
of the
because
physical copies.
Kindle
Yeah.
on, yeah. So that was a very conscious decision that I didn't even think about going to a publishing house for this one, because I wanted to really row my own boat. But to be
Mm.
honest, I doubt I would have got a publishing deal, because it's a fiction book. The non-fiction books, it was like they wrote checks out for me, but for this, I would have been an unknown quantity.
Mm.
But yeah, it was Kindle, Amazon Kindle, and I just thought, right, I bet you're like this, where I wanted great design, great layout, a very good editor, but I'm going to publish it on this platform myself. Then I can show other authors how they can do likewise.
Yeah, fantastic. Brilliant. Well done, you. And yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Dee. I really appreciate it. It's been really great to chat to you. Thank
Oh,
you.
it's lovely to see you at last.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thank you, Dee. So, a reminder, Saturday, 10th of May, family constellations in Hertfordshire. Drop me a message if you want to know more, or thesoberclub.com/events. As you know, if you are interested in sober coach training, then message me. We can have a conversation. If you're interested in working with a sober coach, drop me a message. Again, we can have a conversation about that if you know it's time to invest in yourself. And don't forget to sign up for the free speaker series. Sobriety is the new epic. Link is in the show notes. And of course, you can go to thesoberclub.com. Have yourself a great Easter. Do not let that wine witch come anywhere near you. And if that means you have to, have an extra bit of chocolate, well, so be it. Although do, of course, consider whether you're reaching for the chocolate because you actually really want the chocolate, or whether you just want some sweetness in your life, that lovely expression, in which case, so many better ways to get it than confectionery. Go for a walk in nature, go and stand by a tree, walk by the sea if you're lucky enough. I wish. Just lie down, just do some breathing, listen to a podcast, do whatever it takes. Choose your resources wisely. Just do whatever it takes to just surf that urge. And don't let the wine witch win, because you're worth it. Happy Easter. I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by the Sober Club. Please rate and review. And if you want support, accountability and inspiration, and you want to live your best life without the booze, check out thesoberclub.com.